microphone number 1. It's Rita, I think.
Thank you, Chairman. We have another question from Rita.
Thank you. Can I just thank you for your freedom of information or freedom of speech, comment earlier. Not that I intend on waffling or a large, long question, but I did fly here all the way from Perth, so if I wasn't granted more than 2 minutes as a shareholder, I'd be very angry. So thanks for that. In regards to ANZ's customer advocate, ANZ quietly removed its internal appeals avenue for aggrieved customers by closing down the customer advocate arm, which provided borrowers an additional appeals process within the bank if they were not happy with the bank's decision through the bank's own internal dispute resolution process. ANZ now has implemented a customer fairness advisor. Could you tell us why the customer advocate role was removed, and how does the customer fairness advisor role differ from the customer advocate, and is there anything that an aggrieved customer now is not going to receive, given that the customer advocate, through that process, given the customer advocate role has gone?
Thank you, Rita, for the question. And indeed, our customer fairness advocate is here. So Evelyn is outside and manning one of the stands. So happy to follow up. But Shane, I know you're keen to answer this.
I'll answer that, Rita. Thanks for the question. It's a fair question. Actually, ANZ was an innovator and had the idea of this customer advocate office many, many years before others and way before my time, and it was something we maintained for many years, and I think it added real value. Yeah. The issue was there has been a change in the legislation that requires us to essentially get to a closure point with customer complaints much faster, so there's a deadline. And so the problem was, by having that extra step available, it meant we wouldn't be able to meet the timetable commitments we had. So the only option was we had to remove it. Now, what we have done is we still have a customer advocate, but it's not a sequential process. So at the moment, you went through complaints. If you weren't happy, you could go to the advocate. So we still have a person there that looks out for customer interests as part of the process, but it's changed. Yeah. So that's the reason. It was really just to meet the timetable requirements, which are perfectly reasonable, and to do the right thing. Customer Fairness Advisor we've actually had for a number of years, and what that role is, not to get involved in individual customer issues or complaints, but more thematically. So Evelyn works directly for me. She works very closely with our teams to make sure that our products and services are designed to be fair, that are operated in a fair way, etc. Now, there are times when we get a serious complaint or a customer has an issue where I might ask Evelyn to go and have a look at that and say, can we learn from this? So that's her. It's an advisory role, but very, very impactful and very, very important part of my team to make sure that we continually improve the way we treat with customers.
Can I just clarify? So with the condensed time frame, which now is 31 days, or 30 days, are you saying that through your IDR process, if that was to take the whole 30 days, if a customer is aggrieved, they can contact the fairness officer, or is it only your internal process?
No, it's an internal process. We've got this new timetable, and as I said, by the time it went through complaints, go back to the customer says, I'm not happy, go to the advocate. By design, you were never going to meet the timetable, and so we would be outside the requirements of the legislation. So we said we just have to redesign the process. We have to take that step out in order to comply. But the principle of making sure that customers are comfortable, customers complain about all sorts of things and perfectly reasonable, to make sure that we are treating them fairly, reasonably, empathetically, listening, and getting to an agreed outcome in a short period of time is still there. And we still have the Office of the Advocate really putting the customer's point of view on the table. So I don't think there's been any diminution in the service or the process, but technically you're right, Rita, in the sense that there's that one less step in there so that we can comply with the legislation.
Yeah, and that's a critical step, because through the process the customer is actually cut out whilst the bank does its own review.
But that's the legislation.
And there's no comeback for the complainant.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as you know, people have multiple avenues of coming to the bank, not just through the formal complaints. People write to me as you have availed yourself of previously,
Yeah.
and we'll continue to do our best to make sure that that whole process around complaints is as fair and reasonable as possible.
Okay, and I'm not going to talk about my own issue, but I would like to ask, can I arrange a meeting with you, Mr. Elliott?
With
Please.
well, let's talk about it off. We have this conversation every year.
Yeah, I know, I still haven't had a
outside.
meeting, so I'm just
Yeah.
bringing it up again.
Okay.
And I am a customer.
Request is noted, Rita.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.